a skills development fund, economic development funds, working with OFNIDA, who I will be with next week in Thunder Bay, to create economic diversification opportunities and officers' real capacity in their communities. These kinds of activities, of course, could not go forward without including a very good and solid relationship with the Chiefs of Ontario. Abram Benedict, Regional Chief Benedict, who will be following me, will talk more about it. But a couple of years ago, we entered into an agreement with them to engage a number of very important economic and business activities. They are, the purposes of today's discussion very briefly, included things like supply chain mapping and supporting economic development activities and business growth through funds that we would either co-administer or they would administer from their organization. These investments and partnerships led us to where we are today, and why I wanted to be here today, amongst other reasons. And that is to celebrate a key milestone on the First Nations-led business directory. Led by the Chiefs of Ontario and supported by the Province of Ontario, work is now underway to verify more than 1,000 First Nations businesses already registered and to facilitate a network that taps into public and private procurement needs and opportunities in a multitude of sectors. We know how to do this. We have seen it in different parts of the country. We have extraordinary First Nations business leaders. And in Ontario, if I could say respectfully, I feel sometimes that we're lagging, but it's this Business Economic Summit, June, that has brought to the fore that we can do it, and we will do it. And I said to June later next year, we'll go to Saskatoon to the Indigenous Business Gathering. We'll learn together how we can transpose that into parts of Ontario. Because Ontario, we big, right? We drive a lot of economic activity. I know those Western Canadians love to tease us about the Toronto Maple Leafs and their failures and about how we think we're big. But give us a break here. There's 14 million people living in this country, in this province. And we see an extraordinary opportunity to do that. We want a First Nations-led economy, and we're a big fan of what you're doing here today and what's happening across this country. Let's keep doing it. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Greg Rickford. I'm the Member of Provincial Parliament for the Great Kenora-Rainy River riding. It's a privilege and an honor to serve my constituents and to be here today to support the important work you're doing. Thank you for this opportunity.
Okay, everyone, it's also my great honor to welcome a distinguished leader whose dedication to Indigenous governance, advocacy, and community development continues to shape the future for First Nations across Ontario. Chief Abram Benedict serves as the Regional Chief for the Chiefs of Ontario, representing and supporting 133 First Nations across the province. He is the first Haudenosaunee person to hold this position in the organization's 50-year history. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Chief Abram Benedict.
Sego, good afternoon. You forgot to mention the best region, 133 First Nations across the best region in Canada. It's a great pleasure to join you this afternoon again. I was here this morning and provided some remarks, and today to talk about, to provide a bit of a background and some information and share in this success. So today the Chiefs of Ontario, along with the Government of Ontario, is announcing a business directory, Ontario's first Indigenous First Nation-led directory that the Chiefs of Ontario has been working so closely with the Province of Ontario on. This is a milestone in strengthening the First Nation businesses. This morning I talked about the importance of community businesses and the anchor that they have. We have many small businesses, many large businesses through our territories, and development of this business directory will help close the gaps that exist, but also, as the times that we have now and the times that we are in, there's no more important times now to secure our jurisdiction and sovereignty, and that includes our businesses as well. And this business directory that we have at the Chiefs of Ontario will allow, and as Minister Rickford mentioned, and who I want to give a big shout out to him as well for his championship on this, as we have been working with the province on a number of initiatives to strengthen not only our businesses, but other areas that support the First Nations across this region. And we recognize that the improvement of economic viability of our businesses was essential, and that as part of this registry program, there will be an upcoming program that we have pre-registered already, and we'll work through a process where businesses are verified. We have seen lots of controversy in the last little while around businesses taking opportunity to set asides or contracts that are designed for First Nation businesses, when at the end of the day, some of these businesses weren't even owned by our people. And so we're going to continue to make sure that we're verifying, working with leadership, that these are businesses that the community supports and are not people taking advantage of those opportunities that exist. I think it's fundamentally important, and part of the development that we will have will embrace the principles of OCAP. We know how important that is, the data and the sovereignty that we have. Yes, there's always concern and controversy around when people have to give information, including our businesses. Many of our businesses don't want others to know, and that's fine. But we want to make sure that as the governments of Canada, the governments of Ontario, continue to strengthen the Canadian economy, that our businesses are part of that. And this directory will provide access to them, verified information of our community by our community leadership in partnership. And so this certificate program, or the certifying program, will be led in collaboration with the leadership to make sure that we can stand by the business directory that we have been working so hard to make sure that it meets all standards, but also is accessible to our businesses. And so for the last several months, our team at the Chiefs of Ontario has been working, has had a number of engagement sessions to bring out the business leaders, to pre-register, and so that we can begin the validation process. I'm confident that as we roll this out today, and part of the work that we're doing with the Government of Ontario under the leadership of our friend Greg Rickford, who I know, as he mentioned earlier in some of his speakings, we don't always agree, but there's one thing that we can agree on, that First Nation businesses are the backbone of many of our communities, and we need to be able to support them however we can. We have other initiatives that we're working on, but this registry is extremely important. I get lots of calls from individuals saying, do you know a person involved in this? Do you know First Nations involved in this? Do you know companies that can help us in these areas? Well, I've spent a lot of time with many leadership across this region. I don't know everybody. I don't know all the businesses. And this will be a tool, an opportunity, so businesses can access, governments can access, and verify at the same time. So with that, I want to say yamago miigwech to the government for continuing to support our businesses, because we've been pushing hard. And our leadership has been saying that to us. We need ways to support the economy. We need ways to ensure that our local businesses are being supported by not only our Chief and Council, but also by the governments. And that's some of the work that we're doing here today. So, miigwech yamagoa, and I look forward to rolling this program out and the many more initiatives to support the economies of our First Nations. Now,